Hi, Ghosties. I'm Macy.
And I'm Natalie.
Imagine the lush green landscape of the Hawaiian Islands, the salty sea breeze blowing through your hair, the waves crashing onto the beach, and the sounds of drumming for a procession of fierce ghostly warriors marching in a row in the dead of night as you flee for your life, hoping not to be seen by any of the torch-bearing spirits in fear that you, too, will be taken in as a member of their procession for all of eternity if you are spotted. Typical Hawaiian things.
What are we talking about?
Night marchers. They are scary. Or to me, anyway.
Okay. I have never heard of this.
I have lots of stories for you today, so you'll get the feel of it. And I'm really, really excited to share this with you. So
I'm into Hawaiian lore.
Me too. I literally started reading up on Hawaiian history because I was doing this and I got on a whole side tangent.
Yeah,
so.
There's a lot. I know someone that lived in Hawaii for a very long time, and I love any story about anything.
Really?
And he has a lot of stories, yeah.
Ugh, you gotta let me meet them because I want to know too.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
But I'm ready to get started, so we're just going to go ahead and drink our tea. It is another repeat. It's Republic of Tea, Pink Chai.
Yep. Let's go. That's a good tea.
It's solid.
I think I would drink that like daily. It's like spicy.
Yeah, it's got like a I don't know what it is, but there's like a hint of something.
Yeah, not hot, but like has spice. You know what I mean?
That's why I gave you the bulk of it.
Yeah.
I think I only took a few and I gave you the rest because you're like, oh yeah, this is
Pretty solid. It's a daily drinker, I think.
Yes, I agree. So if you like chai, pink chai, it's pretty good.
And it kind of looks pink whenever you first pour it in the water. It's pretty cute.
Which is an added bonus for you.
Yep.
Before we get started, I just wanted to let everyone know where I got the bulk of my information. I read a really interesting book, and if you're interested, I highly recommend. It was really neat. There was a lot of cool information in there. It was called Hawaii's Night Marchers, A History of the Huaka'i Po by Robert Lapaka Kapanui and his wife Tanya. So I'm not going to try and say their last name again, but
Okay.
Yeah, it was really, really good. So I first heard of night marchers after seeing an article claiming one had been captured on camera. So naturally, if I see claims of a ghost in a photo, I'm clicking it.
Yes,
I
of
always
course.
do. I'm like, what are they talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And the article claimed that a woman was competing in a 100-mile race through Oahu, Hawaii, taking photos of her trek through the forest. After her race was complete, she was going through the images she had, kind of reliving the memories. I don't even think she completed the whole marathon, the whole race, because I think she got injured or something.
Aww.
Regardless, she spotted something very strange in one of the live photos. Beyond the main focus of the image, a woman walking the trail through dense foliage, you can see someone or something appear from within the trees. It's a little blurry and difficult to tell who this could be, but the woman claimed there wasn't anyone else out there except for the people on the trail that she was hiking through. I have a photo.
I was about to say, do we have this live photo?
Let me show you.
Good Lord.
Okay, so you see it there on the side in the zoomed out photo, and then you zoom in and you see whatever that is. So in the live photo, you see it's just dense trees, and all of a sudden, this walks forward.
That's actually horrifying. I thought it was going to be like a little shadow person.
No.
That's a person.
That is a whole person. They kind of look dead.
Uh-huh.
Honestly.
Do they always look like that? Like gray and...
No, not that I've seen. But that was scary. So
she didn't see that in person?
No.
She just wasn't...
She was just taking pictures, hiking out there. Didn't see anybody out there except for the people running. You know, the people that she had known when they started.
Okay, that made my hands start sweating.
So obviously, I was immediately interested. Like, what is this? Who could this be? How could this be?
Yeah.
Tell me everything. And that's how it came to be on Ghosteas.
Okay.
I was like, luckily, I have a whole podcast
to tell us about
research about this.
Oh, good Lord. Okay.
Many people claimed that she had captured the image of a night marcher. After looking into it, I don't know if I believe the image captured was a night marcher, but possibly just another spirit of the island. And you'll see why.
Okay.
But that is the whole reason I got started into this. So I figured I'd share that with you also because it was kind of spooky.
Okay. Yeah. The photo definitely, whatever it is, I'm scared.
Well, night marchers are possibly worse.
Okay.
Maybe. Depends. You'll see. You'll see. Hawaii is a spiritual place full of spiritual people. They have an abundance of legends and tales that have been passed down from generation to generation, at first by oral tradition, akin to stories told by elders to their descendants.
Mm-hmm.
And the story of the night marchers is just that. A legend passed on for centuries to the native people of the Hawaiian Islands. And just like any legend, the real story behind the night marchers depends on who you speak to. There are some core tenets to the origins, though. It depends on whose family. So it's kind of like a game of telephone.
Okay.
You hear your great grandma, it tells the story, and each child kind of heard different variations on it, and then they pass those variations
Yeah.
on, and so on and so forth.
Like all legends.
yes.
But all legends have some truth.
Yes.
So I believe it already.
Oh, I believe in this one for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
For sure. Night Marchers are a deadly group of apparitions that march together in a long procession. The processions are essentially filled with the ghosts of the deceased ali'i, or chiefs in Hawaiian history. There are going to be a few Hawaiian words in here. As we know, I am not a language connoisseur. I do not know anything but English, so we're going to try. But
Yep.
I'm pretty sure I said that one right. So. The first published account of an encounter with the Night Marchers happened in 1883 in a statement from Reverend L. Lyons to Joseph S. Emerson. Reverend Lyons told of his friend who had witnessed the procession of Kamehameha I, who was a king of the Kingdom of Hawaii. The friend was a Hawaiian man who the Reverend spoke highly of, claiming that he was trustworthy and not one to exaggerate usually. He didn't drink, he wasn't a crazy person. The Reverend was like, you can trust this guy. The friend went for a walk at night by himself where he saw the spirits walking in the distance. He knew that being seen would mean certain death, so he hid behind the closest tree and watched in fear as Kamehameha and his procession of warriors and chiefs marched in silence.
Silence. They're not like chanting anything. They're just
Sometimes. It depends on who is leading the procession.
okay.
Little backstory. The ali'i were the elite people of Hawaiian years past. They were believed to be descended from gods and had within them great power in the form of mana. They used their mana to command and lead their people. They would travel from He'eau, or sacred area or temple, to He'eau to tend to their sacred places and sometimes perform ceremonies to different gods to help the people they commanded. They were the only people who were allowed to enter these sacred temples. So they would travel in long processions through the islands to go and tend to the business, basically.
Okay.
They had all of their warriors worthy of being in their presence with them as escort too. So it was just kind of this long line of people. Processions were very important to the way of life for more elite Hawaiians and were common practice here for as long as people who have inhabited the islands. There were petroglyphs in Hawaii showing men marching in long processions, so as far back as they were drawing things on rocks. The ali'i were so powerful and so sacred to the people of Hawaii that there were very strict rules, taboos even, called kapus for the commoners to obey by. These kapus were a way for ancient Hawaiians to keep order and regulate daily life for their people. So were an array. It was basically like laws, very strict laws. One of these kapus, and what make night marchers so deadly, is that the commoners were not allowed to even look upon an ali'i. Like, you could not see them.
Even if it was on accident, you were just like walking.
Even if it was on accident.
Wow.
It was believed that if a commoner saw one of the ali'i, then they would be able to take some of their mana.
Oh.
And the mana was very important to them. They passed it down it was believed to be passed down from generation to generation. And sort of similar to the like monarchies in Europe, they kind of did the same thing where they didn't want to like
ruin their bloodline.
Yes, ruin their bloodline and ruin their mana and spread it out more.
Okay.
So they would kind of marry into
Cousins
family,
and family, yeah.
brothers and sisters and all of that. Yeah.
Okay.
If you violated any kapus, including looking at them, especially this one, then you would be swiftly dealt with.
Oh.
The only way for the ali'i to regain their mana from you would be to have killed you. Swiftly. Like, immediately.
Oh my gosh.
If they see you, if you look at them and they look at you, then you're gone. You're done.
Oh, wow.
It was believed that even your shadow had the ability to take a little bit of mana from the ali'i. So even if your shadow fell upon the ali'i, so you don't see them, you turn your back. If you turned your back from them and your shadow fell upon them, you die.
Oh my gosh. Pretty serious.
Pretty serious.
Okay.
So when the powerful people of Hawaii would decide to walk through on their elite business, they would have loud drums banging so you could hear them coming from distances and hopefully have a chance to run to a safe location out of sight from the procession.
Okay.
They would often also blow a conch shell. So also another alert like horn, hey,
yeah,
we're coming through. Kind of as an additional alert, like keep your shadows to yourself. like get inside, go somewhere else.
That's fair.
And if you still didn't have time to escape, say your hands are full, you're doing something, you're in the middle of some kind of chore, the only way to avoid certain death was to lie face down on the ground and hope that no shadows pass over you. Because some believe that if their shadows passed over you, they were so powerful that they could kill you. Just their shadows.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yes. These were very powerful, important people. So if even this didn't save you and you were caught violating a kapu, then your only hope would be to run for your life. You would have to hope that you were quick enough to escape the punishment of the procession and make it to a city of refuge. Each island had one, but they were often very difficult to reach, particularly if you were on the run from certain death. So if you could, give it a shot. But you're probably not
gonna
work
out.
And this is why they tended to travel mostly at night. So to keep from intruding on people's everyday lives while they tended their chores or made a living for their families, they would take their processions at nighttime and carry torches along to sea so that they weren't bothering their people, basically.
Hence the name Night Marchers.
Hence
All
the
right.
name Night Marchers. And just like in life, the same rules apply in death to those who encounter the Night Marcher. So you cannot be seen by and see a Night Marcher or certain death.
Okay.
That's what makes them really scary to me.
Yeah. Because it's an accident if you see them. Like, you're not even trying.
Well, it's not really an accident because you still hear those drums too.
Well, if I heard drums and I didn't know.
Yes. So if
I'm
you're
gonna
like
look.
a tourist to Hawaii and you're like, what is happening? So the Night Marchers can kill you and then they'll pull your spirit into the march for eternity. What? So you won't even get to rest. You will have to march with them.
Okay.
I mean, they might rest during the day, but
okay. I have questions. If they don't want you around them because they're so powerful and so, this and that, why are they going to pull you into the march? Just as like punishment?
I don't think it's punishment. I don't know. I think it's more so, and I kind of mentioned this later, but they're still living their life. And so I don't know that they necessarily pull you in. I think your spirit rises and falls in line. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Sure.
And then you just follow them around with your little torch. Because I also read of some stories of people saying like the front of the procession they look like ancient Hawaiians. And then the further back you get, it's kind of like more modern
Common
attire.
folk? That's weird.
So like I pull up in this graphic tee
with the little, little bunny
creature. I don't know what this shirt is. It's my husband's. But yeah. And then I'll just be like chilling, like walking behind the Night Marchers.
That is
scary.
Chilling. Yeah.
Yes. The Night Marchers are on every island, dressed usually in full regalia, as I said, wearing ceremonial cloaks and headdresses made of feathers, carrying torches and weapons such as spears and clubs so that they can kill you. As they were in life. They make for an imposing sight for anyone unlucky enough to be close enough to catch a glimpse. Got another story. Actually, I've got a couple stories. So, first one. In 1972, there was a description of an encounter with night marchers in a local newspaper. It told of an older man who once at midnight heard the sounds of an army approaching his home in a long line coming from the valley below. He could hear the chants of the men marching and the hiss of their burning torches. The sound of marching and drumming became so loud that the man had to cover his ears to drown out the noise that was overwhelming his senses. It was 2 hours of fear and marching before the noise faded. 2 hours. At that same time, from midnight to 2 a.m., a late watchman on a ship anchored nearby put in his log that he witnessed a line of torches moving from the valley down towards the sea where they eventually disappeared. So he saw their torches off in a distance. The same place that this guy in his house saw them walking down.
Interesting.
Very interesting. And there are several instances of multiple people seeing them.
My
I'm
first
pumped,
thought,
man.
I know your first thought is ghosts and spirits and things like that. My first thought would be like, it's a cult. They're coming to ceremoniously slaughter me in my home. Like they're coming to kill me. And it's like their little ceremony that they do before. You'd be like, oh, ghost torches. I would not.
I would, but now that you say that,
It's like,
that makes sense.
that's what I would assume. It's like, oh, there's these people and they've been plotting against me. And now they finally come to grab me.
That's a frightening way to live.
Well, that's the first thing I would think if there was like sounds of drums and torches and things like
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'd still think ghosts.
I know.
So our next story, one young man planned to spend the weekend fishing. He gathered all of his gear and trekked out to an area that he knew would be peaceful, a little off the beaten path. As darkness began to settle in, he grabbed his sleeping bag and made the decision to lay out on a clear spot along a long, winding trail. He began to have horrific nightmares as soon as he drifted off to sleep, and just before the sun rose, he woke up in a sweat, his body aching all over. When he finally got out of his sleeping bag, he saw what he could only describe as human bite marks all over his body. He was later told by some older and wiser Hawaiians that where he chose to sleep was a known night marcher path, and it would be best if he never slept out on a trail again. The man swore to them that he'd never even go fishing again.
They bit him?
They bit all over his body.
That's disgusting.
Terrifying. They attacked him in his sleep.
But just with bites?
With bites, I don't know, I guess. Better than spears.
True, but oh my god.
Isn't that so scary?
Yeah, no, I'm spooked.
Though they are terrifying, night marchers are not generally thought of as malevolent. Not like most Hawaiians don't think that they're just this malevolent being out to cause torture and harm to people.
I was gonna ask that because I was like, man, the way you're describing this, like they sound pretty bad, but I was like, aren't they like supposed to be the
bad.
royals?
They are bad if you come into contact with them. Like,
Well,
they're not a good spirit to just like, they're not Casper, you know?
Okay, yeah.
They're not considered evil spirits.
Okay.
They're just warriors, chiefs, and gods who are only continuing on as they did in life, carrying out tasks and only causing trouble if you violate their kapus. So
Fair.
you just have to follow their rules.
Yep.
Don't sleep on their trails.
Why would you ever sleep outside anyway?
People like to camp. I don't know.
I've never understood the camping lifestyle.
I also think being from the South, it's hot. It's just too hot to go camping.
That's true.
It's too hot to be outside in general.
That's
like
true.
People talk about going camping. Like, yeah, if you live in the mountains where it's like 75 degrees, then fine. That sounds lovely. Go
Yeah.
enjoy your nice weather. But when it's 108 degrees,
And
I'm
just
not
sticky.
going to sit in a little heat tent. Like, that's just not for me.
This one time, me and Macy were looking for her dogs because her dogs are bad
My
and they
dogs are
run
bad.
away. They break through her fence. We were driving around late at night looking for her dogs, and we were driving with the windows rolled down, just like yelling out her dogs' names. And we drove past like a backyard. There was someone in a tent in the backyard, and for some reason, it like freaked us out so bad. Do you remember that?
Scary. Yeah, they like moved or something
Because we were
drove
driving
away.
Yeah, because we were driving by slow, like Remy, like her dog's name, and they like started shuffling around. I was like, oh, there's
Like, I
someone
hope
in there.
my dogs aren't in that yard.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Why are you camping?
Yeah.
There's a house right there with AC, and you're outside.
Yeah.
We
So
get-
where we live, too hot. Too hot. So
That's
maybe if I lived in the mountains or up north or something, it wouldn't be so bad, or a more mild climate.
Yeah.
Sleeping outside wouldn't be so bad. But the thought of being outside, I just think of pools of sweat.
I was gonna say hot, sticky mosquitoes.
Yes. Maybe it's not like that in Hawaii. I don't know.
Probably not.
Never been there. As I said, the legend kind of varies depending on whose family you're hearing the story from. And as the Hawaiian language was only a spoken language for so long, the legend of the Night Marchers was passed down from generation to generation by oral storytelling. And some of the facts of their existence has been kind of mixed through many iterations, including when they travel. So it is mostly believed that they march during the last 4 phases of the moon. So they have the Hawaiian lunar calendar that they used to follow. And it's believed that they travel through the last 4 phases of the moon. The Kane, Lono, Mauli, and Muku. But some believe that they will march on only the Pokane, which is the 27th night of the Hawaiian calendar, providing the elite enough light to still see their way through, but the smallest shadows. So they're not
Okay.
casting big shadows, but they're still kind of able to see their way right before the new moon. Others believe that they march on one of the nights of the gods, and there are god processions that march on Poakua or the 14th night of the lunar calendar. Just don't go outside.
Not us.
The only time people have claimed to see night marchers during the daytime is when a member of their family passes. The sightings often coming before they even learn the family member passed.
Oh.
So I read a couple of stories where they'll see a procession of night marchers during the day and they just think to themselves, oh, so-and-so has passed. That's why they're here. Because some believe that they will come and collect the people of like the Hawaiian people.
That's,
If you have a certain lineage.
yeah, interesting.
If you are like of a descendant of the elite or close.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's crazy. Could you imagine?
No.
I wouldn't
No.
want to see them anytime, but imagine during the day and you just know.
Like something has happened.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, I have another story that's kind of like that. There was a man who grew up in Hawaii but moved to California who had passed years later. So he moved to California, lived his life, and passed on. That same night that he passed, his friends and family were hit with a heavy thunderstorm with powerful, powerful winds. Several of them claimed to hear the sounds of night marcher drums beyond the thunder, and the man's daughter could hear stomping footsteps outside of their home that night. They seemed to stop right at their front door, then turn and march away minutes later, as if picking up her father and taking him away to join their procession. He was a prominent figure in Hawaii, and it made perfect sense to his family and friends that he would be honored to join them in the afterlife.
Interesting.
So when you think of it that way, it's kind of comforting.
Mhm.
But the thought of someone marching outside my door, a whole army marching outside my door and stopping suddenly in
Mhm.
silence, that
Too
gives
much.
me chills.
Yeah, that's too much.
One of the reasons this really scared me. Most sightings, though, occur at night between sunset and 3 a.m.
It's always 3 a.m.
Always 3 a.m. They begin with the sounds of drumming, soft at first, but growing louder and louder until it's unbearable for your ears. You will sometimes hear the sounds of the conch shell, alerting you the procession.
It's just the SpongeBob conch shell going, no.
No.
Imagine.
That'd be awful.
When you say conch shell, I can't take it serious.
I'm so sorry. And some processions even have heard the playing of the nose flute and stomping feet as the spirits are marching upon them.
The nose flute.
the nose flute. Once they're close enough, people have claimed to smell the scent of rotting flesh or even sulfur.
Ooh.
So there's a strong scent that comes with them too.
Oh. What, sulfur? When do people smell sulfur?
Demons.
I was about to say. Ooh, my gosh. Okay.
See, as I am not Hawaiian, and all of my usual encounters and research point me in the direction of darkness. Like there's not a gray area with some of these, and this gave me demonic vibes. But I know for the Hawaiian people, it's like very
yeah, it's
part
not
of their thing, their culture. You know, it is the spirits of their deceased ancestors.
I believe them.
They can come in the form of a column of mist passing over the land in the distance, or if you're lucky or unlucky enough, you can see the lights of their torches in a long line growing brighter as they approach. So you just see a bunch of torch lights marching down the side of a volcano or something.
Interesting.
Very cool.
I would like to see it from afar.
Oh yeah, from afar, like with binoculars.
Yeah, very far.
away.
But I would like to see it.
That's interesting that you would like to see that, because usually you're like, no.
I said from afar because they don't mess with you unless you see them. I wouldn't want to make eye contact, but I'd like to be in a hotel at the top floor, miles away, and we're looking down and you see it. That's fine. And just go right back to my room.
Just like in life, the only way to avoid death when encountering the night marchers, you must not see or be seen by them. You should run, and if you don't have time to run, then you must lay face down on the ground and hope for the best. So if it's too late for even this, you have two options. If you're Hawaiian, you should start listing out the lineage of your ancestors and hope that one of them has made the procession to claim you and protect you from a strike from one of their ghostly spears.
Wow.
So you just gotta hope one of them's out there. If you are not Hawaiian, or you do not know your lineage, then your only hope is to strip naked and lie on the ground and hope that they believe you're mad and have pity on you, shouting only shame as they pass. So you just have to make yourself look crazy.
I could do that.
Some people believe that if you pee yourself naked and rub it on yourself, then they'll be repulsed by you and leave you alone. So if you're really scared, just pee yourself and then you'll be fine.
Okay.
They'll see you and they're like, "Oh, guys, keep walking.
Too much.
We're not messing with that."
That took a turn.
Yes.
That I was not expecting, but okay.
Yes. A very interesting turn, if you ask me. So, could you imagine a cop coming by because they hear noise and then you're just stripped naked? It's like, sorry, it was night markers.
You're just rubbing yourself with your own pee, just I was scared. That's a very disturbing image.
Ugh, I hate it. I'm sorry I said it.
I'm sorry you said it too.
So, one South Kona resident was drinking his day away and made the decision to go for a walk out on the trail, known to have only been open for the elite in history. So only the elite Hawaiians used to take this trail. No commoners were allowed.
Well, he's asking for it.
He is. As darkness fell around him, the man began to feel a strange, strong presence around him. He knew it had to be the night marchers, so he fell to the ground and didn't dare look up. He could hear the sounds of drumming and marching feet draw closer and closer to him. He heard the distinct sounds of weapons clanging together and men arguing as they marched on. Suddenly, one of the voices spoke out to him, telling him that he had no right to be along the trail and he would be severely punished. That's when he heard another ghostly voice vouch for him, claiming the man was a descendant of his and that he should be protected. The warrior agreed to spare him, but when the man arrived home that morning, he was visibly shaken and looked as though he had been beaten and battered. So they still messed him up.
Yeah.
Though his family didn't believe his story because he was a heavy drinker and always coming home after fights and with wild stories.
Mm-hmm.
His niece claimed that he had never, ever been that frightened before, and she truly believed that he had met the night marchers.
That's insane. But why would you go on the trail? Why?
He was drunk and he was just like, oh, let's go for a walk. I don't know.
He's lucky.
He is very lucky that he had an ancestor in the procession.
Mm.
The night marchers take the same paths that they took in life, from sacred place to sacred place. There are supposedly maps of the trails out there. So in the book, the author wrote of being like seeing a map. I think it might have been on maybe Oahu or one of the islands. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But he saw a map of the night marchers trails that a lady that he knew's family had gathered over time.
Wow.
And it was like a very sacred thing for him to see. And he was like very emotional to see it because that's really something.
Yeah.
But something that locals always implore you to do before you begin building on their island is to consult with one of those who know where the night marchers walk. Because if you build in the middle of their procession path, they will enter your home at night.
It's like fairies.
That's exactly what I was thinking. What I was thinking.
Oh my gosh. Ugh.
If your home is in the path of a night marcher procession, then they'll just walk through and disturb or move anything in their path. So like fairies, they say, or some people say that if you have your front door and your back door lined up, they can just walk through.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they're moving things out of their way.
Wow.
As I said, you're not safe even indoors.
No.
In the mid-90s, after a new Kmart was built, the night staff claimed to have had several strange encounters. The workers in charge of stocking the shelves at night claimed to have been working diligently around midnight when all of the electronics began to go haywire. The lights in the store would brighten so much that it hurt to keep their eyes open, and then slowly dim until almost darkness, and repeat back again, going brighter and brighter, and then dimming again. Finally, the lights went back to normal, and they decided to take their break a few minutes early, all just kind of stunned, and they sauntered off to the break room. That is when they hear a piercing, scraping noise. They look in the direction of the noise, and having no idea what could be happening, saw one of the shelves moving in their direction, all on its own. Just one of these large shelves scooting across the floor. The shelves began to move more quickly, so all of them start moving. The employees ran for the exits, but not before noticing the sounds of drums beating through the store and the scent of sulfur strong in the air. They decided they wouldn't go back into the store until a manager showed up and could explain what was going on. When they finally went back in with the manager, all of the shelves were pushed to one side of the store as if swept out of the way. And it was no surprise to find out the store was built along a night marcher trail.
Imagine being the manager and they're just like, Todd'll know what to do. And he's just like, what do you want me to do? I get paid $15 an hour. Like, what?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Wouldn't that be so scary?
Never put me in a position of power.
I think I'd quit.
Because if you called on me in that moment,
you won't hear from you again.
I quit that day. Oh my gosh. Did they just keep the Kmart and be like, meh?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, Kmart's aren't open anymore, I don't think, but
oh,
at the time, yeah, they just like, okay, well,
put the
let's
shelves
move
back.
the shelves back.
No.
Maybe they like did some rearranging so they weren't in their way anymore.
Well, that would be my last day. I'd put my vest on the counter and I'd walk out.
Same, I think
There's
so too.
No way.
So another story told by the author of the book that I read was his own experience. So he went to a dinner party at a friend's home. And when he walked in, he noticed a long black burn mark across the wall extending all the way to the other side of the room. That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe decoration? I don't know. Well, when he asked her about it later in the night, she nonchalantly told him, oh, that's from the night marchers. They come right through my house and the other houses next to mine. They march straight out to the back here. Until I put up potted tea leaf plants in my living room, it was way worse. The whole place was scorched. I thought the place was going to eventually burn down. As if it were just another regular conversation, she excused herself, continuing on with the party, while the author's mouth just hung open in shock. He was just like, okay.
Oh, good talk.
And this is a guy who, he does tours and stuff. He's a ghost guy.
And
he was just shocked. She
Casually was like, oh yeah, the night marchers. Anyways, anybody need more
she has
pigs in a blanket?
Actual scorch marks across her walls.
Are there photos in the book?
No.
It's just
the stories, yeah.
I would like to see.
I would too. Like mentioned in this story, another way to protect yourself from these spirits at night are tea leaves. And not like tea we're drinking. It's not that at all. The plant is called Cordyline fruticosa. And you should plant it around your home, and this will cause them to go up to your home and go around it rather than straight through it. I don't know, something about the plant is sacred to Hawaiians, and they used to use the leaves in a lot of sacred rituals and ceremonies and stuff before. Mm-hmm. And they recognize it as something not to mess with. Yeah. They don't disturb them. They walk around them.
Interesting.
So there are ways to protect the outside of your home. So we often talk about people trying to get rid of spirits in their home. And I mean, obviously exorcise a demon. Like, you don't want a demon living in your house. But the night marchers are something else. And they're spirits that have inhabited the island for so long. And it's their home. It was their home before it was yours. So I liked this quote from the book. It said, the night marchers, spirits of ancient warriors, were here long before us. Instead of a futile attempt to cleanse a home or business to get rid of them, it would be easier to understand the history and make adjustments to the space. And I really like that.
I was just about to say, like, whenever we were wrapping things up, I was going to be like, well, the land belongs to them, so move. And I agree.
Oh, yeah, me too.
So, like, I agree with that quote. I mean, so, like,
I think you should always respect the land. Like, I know it's not always in the cards when you don't have the money or, like...
Or the knowledge of it.
Or the knowledge,
I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have known.
Always consult a local.
Yeah, I was about to say, because if I was moving somewhere that I'm not from and my family isn't from, I would do a lot of research and be like, what is okay here? What is not? Like, is this space okay? I'd be very, like...
Me too.
Respectful.
I think I would literally ask neighbors and stuff before I moved.
I would do that in, like, Nebraska. Like, I don't know. Like, I would do it
it's
anywhere.
It's a whole other culture.
Yeah. Hey.
It is.
Some states that I've been to, it's like I'm talking to some aliens. They're just different.
We're so far apart. In the United States, it's so large and so spread out that, it is. It's like going to a new country every time you visit a new state.
Yeah, it's so strange. If you go up north and you're like, yes ma'am, no ma'am. They're like,
Ew.
what? Yeah,
Yes.
it's pretty strange.
I feel uncomfortable saying yeah to an elder.
Yeah.
How dare you? I'm
You're
your
my
elder.
Oh my god.
So to wrap things up, it's believed that some of the mysterious or unaccompanied deaths in Hawaii at night may be attributed to heart failure, but it's thought that night marchers may be the true reason for some of these deaths.
I believe it.
And though the danger that they pose is life-threatening, there are some who believe that the presence of night marchers on your property is a good omen, as long as you aren't there to witness it.
I believe it. Hey,
I believe it too.
cool. I'm cool with them. They're cool with us. That's fine. Do your thing.
I have a few more stories if you want to hear them.
Sure.
I've got a lot of stories. I couldn't narrow it down. It was very, very hard for me.
Okay.
And I've got
Rapid
more
fire.
that I'm going to tell Natalie after this.
Just rapid fire. Come on. Or tell them on the Patreon. We have no Patreon.
We don't have a Patreon. I mean, we have a Patreon, but we don't have a Patreon.
Unless.
We are not ready for
No.
Patreon. I'm too busy. So our first story. Another fishing encounter happened late one night to a couple of friends who had planned to celebrate the long weekend fishing and camping. It was only the first night when, after checking the bait on all of their poles, one of them began to hear a rhythmic thumping noise. He perked his ears up, trying to see if he could distinguish the sound. He thought it sounded like drums, but when he told his friends, the guy just chuckled and told him he must be hearing things. It was a trick of his mind while standing out in the darkness. Then his friend began to hear it. He dismissed it, thinking it was probably just waves pounding against the sand. Then the others in their group could hear it too, and it was way too regular to be waves. Just a constant boom, boom, boom.
That's so eerie.
They were all on edge now, ready to fight the people they assumed were playing a prank on them. But when the air suddenly became hot and it felt as if everything was sucked away from them, one of the people in the group shouted, "Night marchers!" And they all laid out, keeping their heads down. This lasted for several long minutes, and the drumming became louder and louder, everyone sure now that there was no way this could be anything but beating drums. The sound eventually drifted off and the wind returned, but everyone was still too scared to get up. When they finally felt safe enough to lift their heads, they packed up all of their gear and got out of there, deciding to fish another day.
Well, I don't have to worry about that. I
No.
don't fish.
No. Or go outside.
Exactly.
One story came from a veteran with the Honolulu Police Department. I love these stories. During a late night shift, one officer received a call from dispatch to head to the park and check out a disturbance that someone had called in. He was riding on a golf cart around the area, so he made it there quickly where he heard the sounds of a woman screaming. He followed the sound still in his cart when he came to an area of the park that was fenced off to the public. There he saw a local woman being dragged by her feet through the grass by a group of men that were dressed like old Hawaiian warriors, some carrying torches. The strangest part, he realized, he could partially see through the men. He called for backup and drove toward the woman without hesitation, but as he got closer, he claimed that some invisible force flipped his vehicle upside down and rolled over. He tumbled out of the cart and was knocked unconscious. When he came to, the backup he called for were gathered around him and the mob of warriors gone. Laying there nearby was the woman, who looked as though she had been badly beaten.
She was alive?
She was alive.
Oh, the trauma. I would move.
The author asked him, like, "Oh, did you write a report about this?" He was like, "Oh, I wrote a report, but not about this." He's like, "I didn't write all this."
Oh my god. I was about to say I would, but I guess they'd send you for a psych eval if they're not like, they don't believe in that. Oh, I think I would be taking an early retirement. I would turn in my gun and badge and say thank you.
Like, flipped over by the ghost mob of ancient warriors.
And why were they taking her? She saw them?
Yeah, she saw them and they were like, okay, she's gone too.
I don't know why I didn't think about like them physically like taking the people and hurting them. Like I just thought like, oh, they get knocked out and they don't know, but she was like screaming for help. That's
She
scary.
saw them, tried to run, and they're like, no, we caught you.
Don't say that. That just made my like.
I wonder if they run.
Now,
I do. I didn't think about it.
You didn't
I
have
thought
to
they
say
just kind
that.
of appeared, but I wonder if they run.
after you?
Yeah.
Why would you say that?
Sorry. I'll stop saying things that came to my brain.
Oh my gosh.
So this one was a weird encounter that I wanted to hear your opinion on because
Okay.
I don't know, but it's strange. In October of 1946, in St. Stephen's Seminary, many of the teenage boys living there encountered what many believed to have been night marchers while sleeping. It began with a small sound high up on a nearby hill. The sound was described as a tapping or a methodical clicking. It began to come closer and closer, making its way down the mountain toward their home. Then the tapping noise sounded as if it were coming from within the boys' room. The boys' belongings began to rattle and clang together faster and faster, just like something was there. And just as it kind of crescendoed in the room, it started to fade back out and sounded as if it were heading back up the hill. One of the priests claimed to have witnessed all of this several times that night, the noise getting so loud that it was waking the boys out of their deep sleep. all except one. One boy remained asleep throughout the entire ordeal, so it was just going back and forth. They were like coming in and out, in and out. While he slept, his neck began to swell. It continued swelling until it was the size of a grapefruit. Not knowing what else to do for the boy, the head priest put a crucifix on the boy's neck and it stopped swelling, slowly going back down to normal size. The noise, however, continued to increase in volume, as if the source were in the room with them right next to the boy. The beating drum and footsteps made their way all the way through the room and up next to the boy's bed, then stopped. Then, as if by unseen hands, his body began to appear as if it were being pressed down into the bed deeper and deeper until it was released. This happening over and over again, just push down and come back up, push down, come back up. He never levitated, just being shoved into his bed. Just as suddenly as it started, stopped. Everything gone. Thinking they were in the clear, the priest and all the boys breathed a sigh of relief. But then down the stairs and in the kitchen, so like right down the stairs through the spiral staircase, led into a kitchen, the pots and pans began to clang and clatter to the ground. Some of them shot all the way across the kitchen. This went on for several more minutes, then dissipated out of the home. After this, the seminary was closed down and the priests were all asked to keep the details of the incident quiet.
Did the boy live?
He lived. It wasn't until 1961 until a retired bishop finally spoke out about it. Like, it just closed suddenly. Everyone's like, what's going on? They're like, oh, we just had to close. No one said anything. He said that the church believed it was a diabolical obsession and that there was no question that the events really did occur. Like, it happened. There's no doubt about it. The boy who was hit with this left the seminary the next day and nobody had ever reported seeing him again. So he just left and dropped off the face of the earth.
They took him.
Maybe. I don't know.
Why?
And though the church believed it was the work of demons, many Hawaiians believed it could have been night marchers making their way through the home to continue on their path.
Yeah.
Because it's believed that the big house that turned into a seminary was right in the middle of one of their trails.
I don't like that at
all. So
all.
you think night marchers or you think demons?
Well,
because there was like a church
going on thing. So it's like, I could go either way. The only thing that makes me 100% be like, oh, night marchers, because like the drumming and everything.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Because why were they like pushing on that boy? Wouldn't they just like take him if they wanted him?
Right. Yeah.
And why would they take him? He's like the only one not witnessing anything.
Yeah. That's why I was confused. That one intrigued me. I mean, that story was very interesting and really creepy. So of course I put it in here. But
and the swelling in the neck, what is that?
It intrigued me a lot. I don't know. You let us know in the comments if you're still here. Demon, night marcher. I do not know about that. I don't know. So here is our last story. This anonymous man was out in the Iao Valley State Monument. He was in the parking area after everything had already closed down. He apparently had some connections so he could like stay there, whatever. I don't know. He was exploring the park and having an affair with a woman he had been seeing for a few months. So already up to no good. As they made their way back to their rental car, they were suddenly being approached by a very long procession of phantoms near the parking lot. They froze, just like, what is that? They were all holding torches and dressed like ancient Hawaiians, and the man knew something was very wrong. There was a deafening silence in the park. He didn't know what was happening. Then out of nowhere, something that sounded like hundreds of cannons being fired at them all at once with the volume all the way up. Just boom. He heard an explosion, basically. There were drums and marching footsteps and chanting voices. And worst of all, the sounds of mournful wailing loud in his ears.
Oh my. Okay.
Then the smell reached them, and it was yet another shock to their senses, making him throw up immediately. That's when his mistress stripped completely naked and laid on the ground. The man was in total shock. He was like, what is happening? He didn't know. He's seeing all these phantoms. He's throwing up. He's scared to death. And then all of a sudden his girlfriend is just like throwing herself to the ground naked. Okay. So he's not moving. And she pulled him down, face down on the parking lot and laid on top of him. He said that the marching noises went on like this for what felt like hours until it suddenly quit. So he's just laying there in total fear, confusion, fear, and then it stops. His mistress pushed off of him and got dressed as quickly as she could. The sun was coming up now, and the man remained in shock at what he had just witnessed. He could see hand and footprint shaped bruises covering her entire body as she dressed. She demanded to be taken back to her own car, and they rode mostly in silence back to her vehicle until she spoke up claiming that they were lucky that she knew how to chant her genealogy. She claimed the reason she was battered and bruised is because she was trying to protect him, and she said it wasn't worth it. So after that night, she told him she never wanted to see him again, and he kept his word. The strangest part of all this experience was that after the event, he started to grow a full head of white hair at only 30 years old.
Whoa.
So it really shocked his whole body.
Oh my God. Honestly, the fact that she was like, and it wasn't worth it is so funny to me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, why didn't she just like, I don't know.
She almost died for him.
Every man for himself at that
She
point.
said, okay, no, I protected you this time and never again. Don't contact me.
Good for her.
But yeah, that one freaked me out because she was just completely covered from head to toe and like they stomped all over her.
What an insane time to have. And you don't know what night marchers are. I just can't imagine. And all that panic. She just gets naked and is like, get down.
I know.
What are you doing?
A lot happened.
That's hilarious, but horrifying.
Now do you see why I didn't think the original picture was a night marcher? They were all alone.
Yeah.
They were just kind of there. It was the daytime.
Yeah,
I think that was just some kind of
what the heck
ancient warrior
was
spirit or something. I don't know, but
The picture was scary enough.
I'm glad I saw it though, because I would not have known about these.
Yeah, I've never heard about this ever.
I'm glad I did.
I'm going to speak to anybody I know that's from Hawaii, which is 2 people. And I'm going to ask them if they know about this.
That's where we'll leave you today. We appreciate you taking the time to be here with us as we ramble on. I hope you enjoyed night marchers as much as we do. If you have an experience of your own, if you know night marchers, if you grew up in Hawaii or anything like that, please let us know. You can comment down below or you can send us an email at ghostiespod@gmail.com. Love to hear your stories. You can follow us on our socials at Ghostiespod. Give us a 5-star review if you're on podcast, and like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. We'd love to see you back over here if you're not subscribed yet. We got a lot coming.
Yep, it's about to be spooky season, so we're really excited.
Oh yeah.
It's our time to shine.
If you have any spooky friends, share us. That'd be great too. And we'll see you next Monday.
Goodbye.